The Pike County Historical Society has reprinted and added to the genealogy book of Frank McWhorter and his family, known as Free Frank and the Ghost Town of New Philadelphia. The book was printed back in 1964 with information gathered by Grace Madison. It is a thorough history of Frank and his family, one of the first settlers in Pike County. Although the original buildings at the town site near Barry are gone, the streets are still marked, and officials with the Historical Society say it's important for people to know their history.
Part of his goal in life was to free his family from slavery. So setting up the town site was part of that effort, along with farming. They were also very successful farmers. Just normal, hardworking people, pioneers like anyone else that settled in Pike County.
The book is available at Castile's in Pittsfield during normal business hours, and you can also purchase the book and have it sent through the mail. For more information on instructions on how to do that, head to our website, WGEM.com.